Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome into the OnlyBets Sports Podcast alongside Stern Investor. Looking at the Prince of Picks. Wow, do we have a weekend to recover here from the sports world? What a crazy weekend, wild weekend of sports that we're just coming off of here. Of course, we had tons of action in the major leagues, UFC. We had a great big boxing match that we hit on a nice little parlay in the boxing world as well over on the VIP channel. Tons of soccer action. WNBA, you name it, it was going on. PGA, golf, Formula One, which actually I have an interesting story about the Formula One race yesterday. I'll share that with you guys shortly here. It was a pretty intense circumstances that I was under for the Formula One. So we'll get into that in a little bit here. But other than that, lots of fun stuff go over the weekend. Let me bring in Mosh. Mosh, good morning. How was your weekend and what's going on, man?
Whoops, sorry about that. Good morning, everybody. We had a good weekend. Mostly, I would say. I had my worst UFC night ever, so I apologize for anyone who's following that, but we will bounce back. In the MLB, we went 18-5 from Friday and Sunday's picks. We're on a nice little streak there. Hopefully, we can continue it forward. But looking forward to today. We have some great pitching matchups, like phenomenal. We have Zach Wheeler versus Logan Gilbert in Seattle, and then Drew Rasmussen versus Framber Valdez in Detroit. I think this is going to be a great day. It's only 10 games, but we have a number of great pitchers, also including Chase Burns and Parker Messick, both who feature as young, fun talents to watch. So I'm very happy, looking forward to today's slate.
Awesome. Yeah. Drew, how about you? Good morning, Drew. How'd you do over your plays over the weekend and how you doing?
Yeah, I believe I went I believe I went 1-3, but of course bounced back. But like Stern said, we have college football this coming Saturday. I have some insight on that later, and then also we have some great pitchers on the mound. Especially he mentioned Drew Rasmussen. That's a great first name. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Is it a
Great
good
first
first
name.
name?
I don't know. I don't know why I would say that.
Debatable. Debatable. Yeah, debatable. Maybe that leads us back to our question: what name would you like to be called? Just kidding. Yeah, for me, guys, we went 2-1 for my show plays. We hit on Arsenal -2. They covered that one with relative ease. Coventry never really made them sweat, so nice little cash out there. We also hit on Sunderland, Ipswich, both teams to score. So those two cash out for us. We did miss on Thailand. John Obet ended up losing that ASEAN Cup final to Vietnam, but a nice little 2-1 start or finish to the week there. And we'll see how we can bounce back for this week. Before we get started, Mosh, and I know we're going to start in baseball. I'm sure you guys have a ton of plays. I got to get into this story here over the weekend while it's still kind of fresh. Formula One racing, right? Of course, our great capper, Mr. Addison, always comes on and gives us great plays and great looks. And he posted a hedge opportunity for me, where basically you bet, if you guys aren't familiar with hedges, it's basically you're betting both sides at plus money with a guaranteed profit, right? Well, the problem is I did that, right, but I wasn't aware that these books could limit you, right? So I'll try to make this long story short, but basically I got a little greedy, right, and I said, okay. This is guaranteed money. Let me try to max out as much as I can, without going crazy. So I'm not going to say how much I did, but let's just say I put 10 units. All right. I put 10 units on one side and I was going to put 10 units on the other side. So I did the one side, fine, no problem. Try to do the other side and it caps me, it limits me. Instead of 10 units, it only lets me do 1 unit on the book, right? And this is the only book I can do this bet on. So now I'm screwed. I'm saying, oh my God. So let me cash out my 10 unit bet, right? So I go to cash it out, unavailable. Can't cash it out, right? So here I am. I'm stuck with a 10 unit bet on a race car driver I know nothing about, on a track I know nothing about, and in a sport I know nothing about. So I'm sitting here, I was like, imagine, right? Of course, my anxiety is on 10. I'm freaking out here. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm stuck. I'm screwed. I can't do anything about this, right? But by the way, guys, I'm a very conservative bettor. So for me, like a 10 unit play, never, 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 not even in soccer, not basketball, not in anything would I ever, ever bet 10 units on a sport, right? So I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, crap. I'm stuck. I'm screwed. It's a plus money play. Let's see what happens, right? So basically, the play was a head to head in Formula One racing yesterday on Sunday. It was for Sainz to finish ahead of Albon. Um, so the race is going on, right? Of course, this is the first race I've actually watched in its entirety. I got 10 units at stake on it. Of course, I'm going to watch it. So my first race ever that I watched, which was very enjoyable, by the way. Uh, so they're racing, right? And my guy is behind about 2 spots, like two to 3 spots, pretty much the whole race, right? And then we get down to about the last 20 laps. And my guy, Sainz, he jumps ahead of Alba. Alba goes into the pit to get a pit stop, and Sainz jumps ahead, right? So again, I'm not going to go into details. Long story short, we're 10 laps to go. My guy's winning, right? He's up by 1. We get to about the 6th lap, and then he goes to pit stop. And I'm like, oh my God. No, I'm sorry. He falls behind. Whatever happens, he falls behind. So now there's 5 laps to go. My guy's now behind, right? There's 5 laps. He's up all the way until 5 laps. Now he's behind. I'm like, shit, I'm going to lose this bet, right? There goes 10 units down the drain. Miraculously, somehow, and Addison, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm getting anything wrong here, please let me know. Miraculously, out of nowhere, my opponent, which is what I'm going to call him because that's the guy who we're going head to head against, he gets damage to his car in the final 3 laps. He's forced to pit. He's forced to retire from the race. My guy jumps right back ahead in the final 3 laps, and he finishes ahead. And basically, they were both fighting for last place, not counting the cars that were disqualified. So it was like a yo-yo jockeying position where I thought for sure I had lost with 3 laps left. And then out of nowhere, the car that I needed to finish ahead of, he has to retire from the race because he gets some damage done to his car. So now he's forced to pit stop, and now my guy gets back into the lead. It was an absolute emotional roller coaster, something that I never want to be a part of again. But I did end up winning the 10-unit play on accident. So it was a nice little cash out for me in the morning. But I never want to experience that again. That was by far
Oh,
the
I was gonna say,
most.
so you're saying you're gonna do it again?
No, oh my God, no. Lesson learned. Yeah. So, by the way, the lesson of all this, guys, the reason I'm saying all this is not just because it was a crazy story, but if you guys are hedging, be very careful how you hedge and what you hedge with. Do it in small increments. Don't be like me and make the mistake that I made. Do it in small increments. That way, if your book limits you, you're not risking everything at once. You're risking small amounts, and it'll be easier to kind of catch up that way. So I didn't know that the book was going to limit me, and I was stuck with a 10-unit ticket. But thank God, somehow, miraculously, I thought for sure it was done. I was getting pretty like I was over. It was done. And then out of nowhere, the guy gets gets damage to the car, and I end up winning by default. So crazy! My first ever huge Formula One win. But it was a lot of fun, not just because I won, but it was an entertaining race just in general. But that was just one of the most wild stories, probably the most wild story I've ever had, other than winning $9,000 on a $200 soccer bet.
What a journey that was. That is phenomenal. Can't say I haven't been where you were at, although maybe on the losing side of an unable to hedge.
Well, I thought I was going to
And
lose. It was done. There was 3 laps left. I mean, it was fine. You don't catch up in 3 laps. I'm like, oh, great. This is like he just pit. I'm like, why did he pit stop? Oh, I was so mad. Oh, it was
yeah,
a
and
miracle.
also just generally when I hedge like that, I'll generally go to both books. I'll input the amount that I want to bet from each side. I'll compare, make sure that there's no limits because they'll usually tell you when you are inputting the amount to bet how much they're going to allow you to bet.
Yeah. But
And
here's
and
yeah,
and then I'll pull the trigger. It's very important because I have been similarly doomed with a losing ticket on that side of things.
Yeah, but but here's the thing, Mosh. I did that. It was. I'll just tell you guys. The books I was using was BetMGM and Fanatics, and it was Fanatics that I was trying to do on the other side, and I put it in, but it didn't limit me until I actually hit submit. Once I hit submit, then it showed me the limit. When I just had the dollar amount in there, it did not tell me that there was any limit.
That's
So something.
brutal. Yeah,
Yeah.
generally, in my experience, to be fair, I don't really use Fanatics. Long story there. Tried to sign up in Canada and they banned me forever. But FanDuel and DK both have somewhat of a limits on their spots over there, at least for me on certain sports. So generally, I'll try to put the bet in first on those books, and then I'll go to the other books and fill it in as well. But yeah, you have to be careful not to be betting
Lesson
thousands and
learned.
thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Lesson learned. I thought I was going to be a big shot here and get a nice payday. And oh my God, it almost backfired right in my face. That was scary as hell for me. But since we're talking about Formula One, Addison, since I see you requested to speak, first of all, good morning. Second of all, thanks for the play. And third of all, did I get anything wrong in how I broke down the story? And then also, we might as well just segue into Formula One. I don't know if you have any thoughts over the weekend and anything coming up here for the next race. I'll open up the floor for you, Addison.
Hey, yeah, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, Prince messaged me as soon as he had that ordeal with his arbitrage. And that to me immediately became the most important bet of the weekend. So while we had some plays and I had some personal plays and some live plays, I was watching Signs and Albon like the entire race. And yeah, I think Prince did a pretty good job of summarizing it. I will say that it was Signs was ahead of so Albon was ahead of Signs, and then Albon had to pit for fresh tires. So he had the fresher tires. Signs had old tires, and there's probably like a 4 or 5 second gap, and that gap just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's like down to like 0.2 of a second. Albon is right on Signs' gearbox. And so they're fighting each other, and they're teammates, and they both just signed, by the way, before the weekend. So they're battling, not in points, they're just battling for pride and for, because they're drivers, it's what they do. And coming into a turn, Albon gets ahead of Signs in the straightaway. Signs locks up his tires and runs into the side of Albon. They go off the track. Signs is able to recover, but he's put a hole in Albon's side pod. So he like sabotages his teammate. And this is all happening at an extremely intense point in the race for like leaders and stuff too. So the TV is not paying a whole lot of attention to it. They say something like Albon's off. And then all of a sudden you see the positions change on the leaderboard, and it's like, why is Albon ahead of Signs if they just said that he was out? And what happened, I think, is that Albon was able to recover and Signs let him back through because that was a bad move. That's just kind of a unwritten rule, like, if you run someone off the track, you got to give the position back. But later soon find out that Albon has irreparable damage, and so he has to go into the pits and retire. Signs finishes last in the race. He beats nobody, but he does finish ahead of his teammate because obviously he retired. And this is all happening at like one of the most exciting races of the year, as far as like the front of the pack, even the middle of the pack. And I think it's funny that we're both just glued to like the bottom of the pack, the back of the line, these Williams drivers that doesn't mean anything. And that was the most important bet. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. But
welcome to sports betting. If you haven't been here before.
Oh my God. Signs is my new favorite driver, by the way, guys. 100%.
By the way, how upset is the owner that one of their own cars bumped the other car and caused them not to finish? Like, how upsetting has that got to be, that they're not playing nice together?
That is the like mortal sin in F1. It's always, okay, you can race, but don't take each other out. And unfortunately it happens. There's been some pretty historic moments like that. If you ever want to look it up on YouTube or something, it's pretty funny when teammates take each other out, when you look back retrospectively. But hey, how about those bets? So we did not hit board. Let's see, what is it? Oh yeah, we missed out on the Racing Bulls to win without for sprint qualifying on Friday. We knew we lost that, so our eyes were on Cadillac. This was actually another kind of late developing thing about the same time as Albon and Sainz battle. Both the Cadillacs are still out there, and they're down 2 laps, and that just pisses me off because these guys are causing traffic. They're down 2 laps. They're outside of the points. It's like, just get off the track. Um, and it's a to be classified bet, right? So they have to complete 90% of the laps. 72 laps, 90% of that is 64.8. So they need to get off the track before the 64th lap. Well, it's lap 63 going into 64, and they're both still there. And then all of a sudden, on the real race lap of like 64, 65, Botas retires his car. I see a little box come up on the side, team radio, box to retire car, Botas. And I'm immediately start doing math. I'm like, okay, wait, 90% of 72. I was like, oh, I think we just missed that bet by 1 lap. I was so upset. And I remembered, oh no, he's down 2 laps. So actually, he retired on his 63rd or 61st lap. And so we won that bet. The plus 225 rectifies all of the other missed bets. And officially, we actually make a little bit of money. So that was kind of fun.
Thank you, good sir. I unfortunately couldn't watch yesterday. I am busy cleaning and moving my house. But I did turn on some highlights later based on just, I don't know, curiosity. Wanted to kind of get in the feel of it. My kids absolutely loved the racetrack. That was a lot of fun. All right, let's shift towards baseball because we're 10 minutes to the hour. Let's get into it. Drew, where are we going for our first bet of the day?
Yeah, the first bet of the day is actually going to be the first game of the day. I believe we have Sandy versus Ranger, but I'm not going to go with Sandy. I'm going to go with fading Ranger here. Ever since he came back from injury, he hasn't covered because his under 17.5 is minus 105, which is great value. His last 6 games, he has not covered 17.5, 6-0 to the under. Yes, granted, since he came back from injury, they have been limiting him on pitch count for a certain one and working his way up. But even then, against the White Sox, he had 3 innings pitched, 70 pitches. I mean, usually they'll take most pitchers out if you have 7 pitches through then. And then against the Blue Jays, 5 innings pitched, 81. And in his last game, 5.1 innings pitched against the Diamondbacks. And he had 93 pitches. Something else, since he came back from injury as well, his whiff rate has taken a big dip. If you look at his previous like 5-6 games before, right? His strikeouts were around 6, 7, 5, 9, 8, 5. Then when his first game back, I believe from injury, when he came back July 26, he had 6 strikeouts, but then he only had 2 strikeouts, then 3 strikeouts, then 2 strikeouts, and 3 strikeouts. And he hasn't been fooling people when he's facing a Marlins team that thrives off contact. This is one of the best overall for average hitting teams in baseball in general. I know they've struggled a little recently, but they picked it up against the Nationals. This team doesn't strike out that much. They have multiple people in there, like Otto Lopez and, of course, Xavier Edwards, that are great hitters. They can be patient when they need to, and they pretty much even splits against lefties and righties. Even though they're in the Red Sox are traveling, and I know they want to overexhaust their bullpen because even though the Giants, Giants got swept, that was crucial for the Red Sox to win that series. But that series was such a fun series in general. But I think that Ranger is going. I don't think he'll be limited to a certain amount of pitches, but I just don't see him going deep, especially since what I've seen lately from him. I think he'll go at most 5 innings, but we will see. But I can't pass up this value when he hasn't done this his last 6 starts.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I have a feeling that the over might be in play in this game. Originally, I was actually looking at a first 3 under, but both of these teams are actually really good at hitting early in the games. And looking at the trajectory of both of these pitchers, they're giving up a few runs. If we even just get 3 or 4 runs through the first 5 and the bullpens take over, I think there's a good chance to get over just 7 runs, which is the projected total in this game. And I think that's far too low. The overs do correlate to the unders and pitcher outs. I'm on board. I'm going to go with a team total here. Actually, I went with a few team totals here, but one that I'm picking for my official play of the day, Cubs team total over 4.5. They just might be, the Cubs might be the hottest team in baseball right now with the hottest player. Pete Crow Armstrong, absolutely dominant. I think he's hit 3 out of the last 4 games a leadoff home run. or at least a home run. Correct me if I'm wrong. We'll get back to that in a second. They're coming off a dominant 19-2 win over Seattle in Seattle. And they're going into a great hitting environment in Arizona. Arizona is starting Merrill Kelly. He does not really profile as someone who has the control right now over his stuff. He has given up 18 earned runs over his last 4 games. The underlying metrics are not pretty. He has a 12.5% barrel rate, 44% hard hit rate, and under 15% strikeout rate. Just over the last month, his FIP sits at 669, and his xFIP, while slightly better, is still 574. The Cubs rank second on the road in weighted run creation over the same time span, and the Arizona's bullpen is not really sitting great. It ranks 27th in xFIP over the last month. This is just a really nice spot for the Cubs to score at least 5 on the road with the extra at bat in the 9th. Drew, what are your thoughts on this play?
No, I like that play a lot. Yeah, I think it's a really good play.
Yeah, I also will say I don't mind Arizona's team total over either. It's going to be a very interesting matchup, or just the game total over. But I did want to just focus on the Cubs right now. I wanted to get in on the runs before summer ends. That's kind of what I came to when I was looking at these games. I saw a lot of high projected totals. Do we have any other questions on any other games? We do have
Oh,
Phillies Mariners in that pitching duel. Yeah, Drew. What are
I
your
was going to
thoughts?
clarify also because I forgot to mention about the Marlins game. The thing that's very interesting about it, by the way, is uh, Sandy. Sandy, of course, has been really good this year, but Sandy at home versus away is night and day. I think at home he has like a 4.1 ERA, and at home he has like a 2.7 ERA. He's just different there, and he knows how to pitch there. So that's where the over could scare me of how well he pitches at home. But then again, I can see Ranger getting roughed up too. And if the Marlins have to go to the bullpen and the Red Sox try to make his so they work Sandy's pitch count to where he only pitches 6, then I think that over can hit.
Something interesting to note, and I don't have the stats pulled up right in front of me, but like I said, I was looking at that Red Sox first 3 under, and when I took a look at Sandy Alcantara's underlying metrics early in games, he's actually pitching much better than expected. I believe his FIP was somewhere around 275 or 320 something, and then the xFIP was over 450. Which is important to note when you're looking for people who can potentially negatively regress. That is a primary sign when their xFIP is larger than their FIP. Just putting it out there. I do expect the Red Sox, who are also one of the hottest teams in baseball, to be able to get to him at least a little bit. I'm not saying he doesn't go 7 full innings, because they do have him on a very long leash, but I do kind of expect a higher scoring game overall. In a
Yeah, I
game
agree with
that I
that.
don't necessarily expect some runs, Phillies Mariners. I found value on the no run first inning and on the Phillies money line. Those are premium plays for me. Just going to throw them out today for our listeners. All right, Prince, any thoughts on the MLB before we move on to the W or and soccer?
No, but I love that you're backing Chicago teams. Anytime you do that, I'm with you.
Oh, now I have to stop backing Chicago teams. All right. Prince, where are we going next on the slate? We do have EPL Monday, which is always fun that we have that back in our regular lineup. It's always nice to have, I believe it's a 3 p.m. game Eastern.
Yes, sir. It sure is. Yeah, we're going to skip the W today. Nothing I really like in the WNBA. So we'll go straight over to the EPL. To your point, 3 p.m. Eastern kickoff this afternoon. We have Chelsea taking on Fulham. This one's pretty simple for me. I'm going to take Chelsea straight up on the money line. Minus 110, minus 115. Shop around. Get your best price. But Chelsea should be the comprehensive favorite in this one. Of course, we like Chelsea here to finish in the top 4, top 5. We're talking about the EPL table. So Chelsea in for a really good season. They could be a dark horse contender for maybe even winning the EPL title outright. I really like what they've done in the offseason. I think they've done some great business, and I think this team is going to be a very, very solid team here going forward in the season. Looking at Fulham on the other side, this team is projected to be fighting right around the relegation zone, so could be tough times ahead for Fulham. But another bet I like in this game as well is the over 2.5 goals. We'll bet split those. If you want to same game parlay them, you can. but I'm just going to bet split them. Over 2.5 alone comes in at -130. And when you're looking at Fulham here, projected to be early reports from them are coming out that this team is going to play a very wide open brand of soccer. So what that means is typically you're going to see goals going in on both sides. Overs is probably going to be an auto play for Fulham until we see something otherwise. But the problem with that is that style of play doesn't typically work in the EPL because the teams are just too good. The talent is too good, and you likely get exposed when you open yourself up like that. So Fulham games might be fun to watch this season, but they might not get a lot of points, and they might struggle to pick up results playing that way. So, but until they change it, we'll back what the early reports are, what the analysts are suggesting in terms of how Fulham's going to play. So, Chelsea, of course, is another team that is prolific offensively, and they can put in 3 goals by themselves at any given moment. So, I really like the over 2.5 in this game as well. Bet split. The over 2.5 comes at -130, and then Chelsea straight up on the money line about -110.
I don't mind it. I prefer going with the both teams to score -137. I got this last night. I was just looking at the game. I think both teams can score, and I think that the open style of play does lend itself to the over in general. So I'm less on board with picking a side, more on board with picking everybody to do well. Or I
Yeah,
guess
sure. Yeah.
everyone not to do well.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on how you look at it. Really good. But yeah, no, I think both teams score is another solid look as well. So yeah, any way you want to play it, I just think there's goals in this game, and I do think Chelsea is a better side, so that's why I'll take them on the money line. But I get it. If you want to stay away from that and just play goals, I'm totally fine with that. And then I do have a futures play as well.
Wait. Before you
Yeah,
get to that, I
sure.
do see a key injury out for Chelsea. James, on my model, it's flagging that. Is this a concern?
No, that's fine. That won't really matter. That's he's I have to double check who exactly you're talking about, but if I'm correct, I believe that's a defender, if I'm not mistaken. So that really shouldn't make any difference in terms of our scoring output here. So yeah, Chelsea's a
Okay,
pretty deep
sorry.
team. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I just
wouldn't
wanted
be.
to flag it just in case
Yeah, no,
if
great
it
question.
affected
Yeah.
the the thing. Sorry, keep
Yeah,
going, buddy.
no worries. Yep, great question. All right, cool. So yeah, like I said, the Bundesliga is going to be starting this week. So not as many great spots in the Bundesliga as there was in the EPL, but one futures play that I did land on today is going to be Bayern Munich. To win both the Bundesliga and the German Cup. And that comes in at +160. You're looking at Bayern Munich. This team is just far and away the best team in this league. I can't see anybody realistically competing with them in the German Cup and in the Bundesliga combined. Both of them, I think, Bayern should be heavily favored to win both. As long as they don't rotate their squads too heavily for either of the, for specifically the German Cup, which they usually don't. They usually take that pretty serious. I think getting them at plus money here for a team that is just, again, far and away, head and shoulders better than every other team in the Bundesliga. So I really like getting them to win both the Bundesliga and the German Cup. You're going to get that futures bet at +160.
Yeah, what's not to love? I mean, they're just such a fun team, and you could probably, if they're in the position to be able to win either or, you're going to have some really nice live hedging opportunities. This is a great play. I really like getting the value early on. I mean, like you said, clearly the superior team in the Bundesliga.
Yep, 100%. It's really as simple as that. They're just gonna. Other teams are gonna have a tough time challenging this team over the duration of the season, and as well as the German Cup. So, yeah, I think it's a solid play.
All righty. Any live looks
Oh,
today
I
from the
actually,
soccer world? Sorry. Yep.
Yeah,
Drew, what's up?
yeah.
I
No,
have
real
something
quick, I
for
do have.
soccer I wanted to mention.
Oh, sure.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Oh no, you can go
No,
ahead
you
first.
good.
It's
Go.
not necessarily a pick, but it's a news. Okay, so the news I noticed, and it's not. I don't know if you guys saw, but over the weekend, Erling Haaland, and then he FaceTime Lawton. He was like, "Did you lose a bet or something?" He was like, "Block me," and I never talked to me. He was like, "Just kidding." And then he said, "Are you going to be faster?" And then they showed a whole video of him doing like a military cut. And so I thought that was very interesting. Holland officially, his long hair is gone.
Yeah, he cut his hair. He's the new Samson. He's the modern day Samson. I don't know. I don't like it personally. I saw that video. It's pretty funny. There's lots, lots that says, "Block my number. Don't call me again." When he saw the short hair from early Hollywood, it just looks weird. I don't know. We're so used to seeing him with his long hair. I hope he grows it back. I think he looks better with the long hair, and that's his trademark. Like that'd be like, I don't know, like Anthony Davis shaving his unibrow. Like that's his trademark. Like James Harden shaving his beard. Like literally, his trademark is that long hair. So he looks different without it, of course. But that was a really funny video that the one with Zlatan. We'll see if I mean, he didn't score this weekend, so maybe that's an omen. I don't know.
Can I just first of all, I do not like the haircut. He was a glorious Viking on that field with the haircut, but without the haircut, I should say. One thing about the story of Samson, if you guys aren't familiar, he lost all his power after his hair was cut. Key part of the story.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's why he didn't score the goal. He didn't score yesterday after he cut his hair. So interesting similarities there.
Yeah, although Man City did have a very exciting finish to that game. I was on the other side of that, so I was a little disappointed, but my fandom was very much involved because I do like rooting for Man City. They're a fun team to bet on, or to root for, I should say. All righty. What else we got for today for maybe some live looks during our workday?
Yeah, in the soccer world, and I know we'll get to. I think Drew has some college football takes here that we'll get into. But in terms of soccer, one league in particular I'm looking at is going to be the Iceland. It's called the Basta Deildin, or it's got different names and different books. I'm not sure why it goes by so many different names, but basically it's the Iceland Premier League. There's a matchup today. It's the only matchup taking place this afternoon. It's Breidablik and I believe it's Reykjavik and Breidablik. We're looking at it over in that one. Pre-match, it's way too juiced. But if you look at it live, you'll be able to get a better price than that. Over 2.5, over 3, both teams to score, something along those lines. These teams, when they play each other, they score and concede on a regular basis. So we'll play the trends of this one, but again, you gotta get that one live. So that one's I believe it's 3 p.m. Eastern, 3:15 p.m. Eastern. That was going to be kicking off.
All right, looking forward to seeing that live bet populate on your what's it called? Not Discord.
VIP Telegram.
Your
VIP
Telegram, that's what it was.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, also, almost before I forget, hopefully you guys got that Scotty Scheffler top 20 at -120 over on Friday because that cashed almost sweat free. Very nice little end, or I should say, addition to the weekend, making up for some of my tennis premium picks, which have not been coming through yet. Going to take a break on tennis just for a little bit. All right. Anything else on the world of sports? Yes, we do. College football futures or talk. Drew, you're up. Prince, MC.
Okay, that means Bo has to take a break. All right, so Drew, yeah, getting into college football. What do you have for us? You got some futures for us, or is it an outlook? Or go ahead, man, take it over. Drew, are you there? Drew? All right, not sure if I've lost my connection. If anyone can hear me.
I hear you. I don't know. Maybe Drew needs to leave and come back in.
Yeah, possibly. Okay. All right. In the meantime, I'll filibuster. I don't really have anything for college football, guys. So we'll see if Drew can come back. Looks like he's having some connection issues, and Moshe had to step away. So it's just me right now. Let's see. All right, Drew requested to speak. Let's see if we can get him back in here and get his college football takes. Otherwise, I really don't have anything else for you guys today. We do have quite a big slate tomorrow. You're back? All right, cool. All right, Drew, go ahead. Take it away, man.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, take it away.
Definitely. So I have two to make playoffs, not make playoffs that I'm looking into. Value, but I'll do the one that's no, I think it's really good value, but it's like a -190. But I'll go with Oklahoma to make the playoffs at +200. I think they're a very underrated team. This is not, of course, futures bet I'd put a lot on, but I think it's good value to where. But I think Oklahoma is one of the most underrated teams in the SEC. If you just look at them overall, right, they have a relatively tough beginning of the schedule, but they can get through it. They can do well. I believe they avoid you, and then they do have to face, and I believe it's week 5. They have to face Georgia and Texas in back-to-back games. With 2 teams, but luckily one is at Georgia, right, and then the other one is versus Texas. Is versus Texas, which is a big thing. I'm a big fan of Brent Venables, and if Mateer can take that step up, then that they can be a very successful team. Because we know with Venables, especially at Clemson, a coach that will get the defense ready. We saw at Clemson, we saw how much a dip Clemson has took since Venables left. So I'm a big fan of this, and if they can split the Texas and Georgia, they should be fine. I think they can get in with 2 losses with the SEC. Because remember, it's top 12 guys; it's not top 4 anymore like it was a few years ago. So I think their other hardest game is versus Ole Miss, and that's home. Most of their hard games are at home. Their probably hardest game besides the Georgia game, not at home, is at the Swamp in Florida. Florida's supposed to be revamped. They have a lot of transfers. But if we're talking about an Oklahoma team that usually flies under the radar, but they somehow, become competitive and make the playoffs just in general, and Venables is over who they lost on defense, I really like Oklahoma odds at plus 200. Because I think they have better chances than some other teams to make because of their SEC tag also.
I've got to say, I think this is phenomenal value. I have them in my preseason rankings ranked 14th in between Washington and Penn State. I think this is a really sharp play. I think you're right. I think that the public is undervaluing them. I'm going to be putting this in right away.
Love to hear it. Yeah, and it's one of those things where I think they have a better chance to make my personal opinion than Alabama. I think they're a better team than Alabama too. No offense to the Alabama fans out there. I think they have a better coach as well. But I would say
that actually is very much in line. Oh, sorry, Drew. Keep going. I was just going to say that I have Alabama ranked 20th. So definitely see value, and what you just said tends to work exactly with my model.
Yeah, I love to see how your model agrees with that. I think I know they just signed Caleb DeBoer to a very long extension, and I get why they did it, because they don't have really any other option, and a team that can ever rebuild, because that's just who they are. But I would say my other play, it's 190, but I still think it's good value to where it is, because I think this is getting a little overhyped. I'm a fan of the quarterback read, Texas A&M, but I do not think Texas A&M makes playoffs. And I think if you look at them overall, they had a really good season last year, but a lot of it had to do with their favorable schedule, and a lot of it had to do with some luckiness at the end. We saw how they looked against Texas, and then we saw how they looked in the playoffs. But this schedule is only going to get tougher. Yes, they don't have to face Georgia, but they do still have to face LSU. They still have to face, of course, Texas in the very last game, and they have to go to Missouri. They do have a relatively favorable schedule now, but I don't think they make the playoffs in general. I know it'd be hard to bank on them, losing a certain amount of games, because they do avoid Georgia, but they do have to go, regardless of how you think about Alabama, they do have to go to Alabama. It's still a hard place to play. They play home versus Texas, but they also have to go at Oklahoma, and that's a team we're banking on as well. So last year, I believe they got to avoid a bunch of these other high SEC teams, such as like Georgia and stuff like that. So we're not going to see this year. Yes, they're avoiding Georgia, but they're seeing all these other teams. And I think Texas A&M had a really great season last year, but they're going to take a dip, like we've seen in the previous years. They have a good head coach, but I just don't see them making the playoffs. And this goes in line with the Oklahoma one, because I think if Oklahoma doesn't make the playoffs, I think A&M still won't make it at the end of the day, because I think the Big Ten is too strong, and the SEC, I still have other teams over A&M.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Model doesn't quite agree as much on this one. I have them on the bubble. This is going to be a fascinating season. When does the college football season get started officially, Drew?
Yeah, so officially this Saturday. It's not all the games, but it's kind of like an appetizer. There's going to be like 9 games. majority of them are going to be like kind of non-power four. There's going to be some power four games. One of them is UNC versus TCU. It may not be as exciting, but UNC historical franchise, but we're going to see 9 games, which is cool. The following week is when we see the most games, because the following week we're going to have Thursday football, Friday football, and Saturday football, where we see everything. So the week 0, there's going to be still some good looks to watch. We're going to see USC this Saturday. Probably, I forgot who they're playing, but they're probably going to spank. I think they're like 30.5-point favorites. So when we get closer there, I'll have probably a couple week 0 picks, and then next week, that's when the big all the teams are playing, and even some of the bigger teams are playing on Friday. Next week, the biggest matchup, I would say, because usually these Power 4 conferences don't usually schedule like top tier opponents early, but the best week 1 matchup, I think, next week is going to be Clemson versus LSU. If you guys aren't familiar, Clemson and LSU both play in Death Valley. It's going to be at LSU. Usually I say at Death Valley, but I have to clarify that because they both are Death Valley. So it's going to be Clemson at the other Death Valley. So that'll be fun to watch. Lane Kiffin versus Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, take the points in that game. At least that's what my model's reading right now. Yeah, Prince, what do you got?
Yeah, I just have a quick question for Drew. Just more of a general question than anything, but talking about college football, we're talking about the SEC in particular. They've been a dominant conference, right, for I would say at least the last 10, 15 years. Is there any chance that there's any other conference out there that could compete basically with the talent and the skill that the SEC has? Is there any other conference that might overtake them here at some point, or is it just the SEC year in and year out?
Well, I would say this: the Big Ten. Technically, I know the SEC. I'm not one of those people who say, "Oh, look at the Big Ten now," because SEC dominated all the 2000s and 2010s. But the Big Ten, the last 3 champions are a Big Ten, and they're 3 different teams. It was Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, and I personally think the Big Ten is the main conference that can do that. Because if you look at the Big Ten right now, I know what we say, like Mendoza left, but we still have Kirk Cinetti, who's lost 1 game since he came to Indiana those 2 years. And he has Josh Hoover. I know people are skeptical about Josh Hoover. People are skeptical about Fernando Mendoza, too, coming from Cal. Josh Hoover, his arm talent isn't an issue. It's his decision-making. He led the whole NCAA and interceptions. Regardless, was that from TCU when you play hero ball and TCU's defense is terrible? Could be that, but I trust Cinetti to help him. And then you have Oregon, who has Dante Moore, who's going to be a top 5 pick. You have Ohio State, who's Julian Saint, Jamari Smith, all the talent above, who's going to probably be a top 5 pick, right? And then you also have, have Michigan. We don't know. They might be a dark horse at the end of the day. So you have those 3 big teams, I think, that are going to be teams that can all win the title, personally. And I personally think that, there's only 2 teams that, and I would say in the SEC right now, that I would put on the same level as an Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State, and that's Georgia and Texas. So but SEC has more overall great teams than the Big Ten, but those top tier teams in the Big Ten are very top heavy in that way. And the only one that comes close to 4th, I would say, is Michigan.
Okay, fair enough. And speaking of Indiana, one more question for you. What do we look? How do we feel about Indiana this season? Are they projections to repeat? How do we feel about the repeating as champions? I don't know. I don't know much about their offseason and the recruitment. I don't know if they lost, how many pieces they lost. Of course, they lost Mendoza. I don't know if they lost any other critical pieces from the team. But what do we feel about them just in general? Potentially repeating? Or can lightning strike twice for them, or how do you feel about them?
Oh, I like them a lot. There's a lot of skeptics because, people like to skeptic. And I don't blame them because they're really the worst team in college football history before Cignetti came. And, they're the new, punching bag. People like to say, like, oh, they're not going to keep this up and stuff. But I think they will. Cignetti's an amazing coach. They got that quarterback from TCU, which was what they needed. And another thing is, like, Cignetti has been getting transfers and recruits. It's not like they lost a bunch of 5-star recruits and stuff to the draft. They still have really good receivers there. And they didn't have really any 5-star recruits last year. So Cignetti knows how to make the best talent of what he gets. So I expect them to still be right there. I am not a skeptic of Indiana. I don't think the wagon's going to fall. If you can't say that when 2 straight years they've had 1 loss and they won the championship, it would have been different if they didn't win the championship. But I can't doubt them to not possibly repeat. This isn't the pros where repeating is hard. well, repeating can happen in college football, and we see it a lot. And I just think they need to make sure if they want a chance, I believe they do have to face Oregon and Ohio State this year. They need to at least win one of those two. So
Yeah, it's really incredible how
Yeah.
much impact one coach can have in college football. I think you guys may agree with me on this. College coaches seem to have more impact on their team than any other sport. Would you guys agree with that? Specifically college football. What a turnaround, right?
Yeah, 100%. They are the CEO of that company, as opposed to a NFL coach who is really just a general manager. That's kind of how I view it. Drew, am I wrong?
no, you're 100% right. They are the guy, and we see more impact with head coaches because when head coaches are in the college, they're trying to lead young men, and they have to create a culture on how to not just teach them about football, but teach them about life and how to take it seriously. Because these guys are still going to college and stuff, so you have to make sure they understand the grades are important, but also to be successful on the field. And if you don't get buy-in from these kids who are not fully grown, because men don't go through puberty until they're finish puberty until they're around 23 or so. So you need to be able to connect them. If you don't connect with them, you already lost the battle.
Yeah, and by the way, to your point on Indiana, I do have them ranked as clear favorites coming up this year. If you want me to read off, I can read off my top 5.
Yeah,
Indiana, Indiana, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Oregon, Notre Dame. And then I would say Georgia and Ole Miss. Not sure exactly how they project according to most experts, but that's what I got.
No, I like that a lot. I was wondering, where's Texas on there?
Texas or Texas A&M?
Just Texas.
17th. Right after USC, right before BYU.
Wait, Texas is that low? Oh, that's crazy. With Arch in them?
I have them ranked pretty far down in terms of defense, and their strength of schedule.
Oh, that's interesting because I've always thought Texas has probably have a great defense. They have one of the best pass rushers, I believe, too. So that is interesting that your model shows that. Oh, hey, maybe the model is trying to tell us something because Texas, I know, is one of the favorites to win the title. So maybe our model is onto something when it comes to that. I saw you at Texas Tech high, too.
I have them as one of the there's a luck rating here, which kind of tries to calculate how well they do versus how well they actually do, how well they actually do versus how well they're supposed to do. And I have them as I have them as a pretty high luck rating, which means they should be negatively regressing at some point. But again, I haven't really gone into the model too much. Got to really get into that before Saturday. But this is my just preseason projections, using AI to try to create models to try to predict based on all the stats that I find more favorable than other people. It's been all right. It's been pretty solid.
Yeah, and by the way, I like your Texas Tech one because I think that's a team. I think if you had to pick one team that I think has the best to win their conference, it's probably Texas Tech with how much turnaround the Big 12 has had because Arizona State lost their quarterback, TCU lost their quarterback, and then not to mention, I know Oklahoma State got Drew Messmaker. I think they'll put up points, but they won't really compete. BYU, interesting with Bear Bachmeier returning, but Texas Tech, even without Baron Morton, they got transfers. I think they're going to win the conference. And the only other team I can think of that is close to them to be not a for sure, but closest is probably Miami. But Texas Tech, I think it's their conference to lose.
Yeah, I definitely am on board with that. Any other conversations in the world of sports before we head to our question of the day? Addison, also, if you have a question of the day, I'm going to go to you first for one. No pressure. Feel free to say no. Just going to give you the opportunity if you would like it. Drew, any last thoughts on college football before we move on?
Nope, but I'll do, of course, more picks on I'll do actual game picks on Thursday or Friday.
Very much looking forward to it. Also, always happy to share my model if you are so inclined. Prince, any final thoughts in the world of sports today?
Excuse me. No real final thoughts for me. Just a quick recap. We had a big boxing fight over the weekend. It was a title fight. Rolly Romero took on Teofimo Lopez. Two guys who are kind of going in opposite directions in their career. Both have been pretty inconsistent. Both are trying to basically save their careers on some level. Rolly Romero coming off of a big win against Ryan Garcia. He won the title. Most of you guys know who Ryan Garcia is. Most people know him from YouTube, but he's also an excellent fighter. But the Rolly Romero shocked the world by beating him and winning the title. So the fight on Saturday went how we predicted. We had Teofimo Lopez to win by decision, minus 140. That did hit. It pretty much went the way we thought it was going to go. It was a pretty cagey fight for the most part. Rolly looked like he wasn't interested in fighting. He was more interested in dancing, moving around. I was talking to Michael Spellman, who is one of our loyal listeners here on the show. He's not here today, but me and him were kind of texting during the fight, and we both kind of were thinking the same thing. Like, this is not really a fight. He's just, for whatever reason, being super hesitant. He actually cut Teofimo Lopez. His eye was really cut, really bad, and there was an opportunity there for if Rolly would have been a little bit more aggressive, he could have really taken advantage of that, but he didn't. He didn't. He just, for whatever reason, was just hesitant to let go of his punches. And Teofimo is a pretty accurate fighter, and on his best day, he's just a better fighter than Rolly Romero. So it was a pretty comprehensive win. I think he ended up winning by about 4 or 5 rounds by most of the scorecards. Although one scorecard had a draw, which is always an issue with boxing, is these judges. You never know what's going on with them, and if there's something else going on under the table, because there's no way that fight was a draw. But thankfully, the other judges had it the right way. And Teofimo Lopez, now the new WBA welterweight champion in the world of boxing. And we'll see what fight comes up next. Ryan Garcia said he wanted to fight the winner of that fight. So we'll see if Ryan Garcia ends up getting back in the ring and getting a shot at his title back against Teofimo Lopez, which would, I think, be a pretty entertaining fight if that happens. So, yeah, nice boxing action over the weekend there.
Well, I definitely appreciate the multi-unit cash. All right, Addison, we're going to you for the question of the day. If you don't, I'm going to go around the horn to Drew and Prince to see if anybody has anything, and I'll clean it up if nobody has a good question. All right, Addison, what do you got for us?
Hey, yeah, thanks. So if this has been asked before, we can find something else, but this is kind of relevant. I just finished booking a big family vacation for next year. So if you were to book a vacation and you had to choose between the mountains or the beach, which one would you choose?
Well, I got beach. I miss the beach so much. I grew up by the water, and then I moved away from the water, and I miss it almost every single day. There's nothing better to me than being on the water. Not saying I don't love the mountains, because I do. I go to the Pocono Mountains all the time. Not that people in real mountains call that the real mountains, but if you don't got nothing, that's the mountains for you. But beach boy all the way. Prince, what's your answer?
You know what? That's a really good question, because I do love the mountains a lot. I like looking at them, obviously. But would I want to go hiking on the mountains? I don't know. It'd be fun. It's a tough question. I'd probably have to go with the beach, just because. I mean, how can you go wrong with the beach? But I've been on the beach many times. I haven't really been in the mountains, so I don't know. Tough question. Maybe I'll pick the mountains, because I haven't really been to the mountains before. I've been to the beach multiple times, so I probably go with the mountains. Something new, something different. Nice little scenery as well. I think the scenery in mountains is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, excellent question, Addison, by the way. Drew, what's your answer? And then we're going to go circle around to Addison for his response.
Yeah, I love the mountains, but I grew up around the water, especially being from the Bay, and my grandpa was a guy who had like jet skis, and I used to go on jet skis when I was even like 8 years old. He told me I need to learn how to drive a jet ski by the time I'm 9, and I had to, and I love jet skis. I prefer lakes for that and stuff like that, but the beach is also really fun. I used to do jet skis, just like, all around, like wave runners, of course, jet skiing, waveboarding and all that stuff. But I will say I did go to the mountains in Colorado Springs one time. It was a beautiful experience, but I would say slightly I would lean towards the beach.
And by the way, Drew, real quick, you can speak to this. One thing I miss about living in Arizona is the mountains in the background. No matter where you go, you always see the mountains in the background. I just absolutely love it. Such a beautiful scenery.
Also Sedona.
Yeah. Oh man. So there's so many great landscapes in Arizona, deserts and stuff. But just in specific, like literally whatever direction you drive, you just see mountains in the background. It's absolutely beautiful. I really miss that about Arizona. Here in Illinois, we see trees. That's about it. We don't really see anything else. There's really no major landscapes here in the Chicago area, natural landscapes anyway. So, but yeah, I really miss it about Arizona, the mountains. I just love the mountains. They're beautiful.
Oh yeah, and also by the way, I will say this, and it's the hot take. No one crucify me, but the Grand Canyon is cool, but I think it's overrated compared to what other mountains you see in Arizona.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, yeah, there's just so many different landscapes in Arizona that are probably a little bit more entertaining. And I don't want to diss the Grand Canyon because it is pretty cool. But yeah, there's tons of landscapes in Arizona for sure. Is it the Painted Desert there too? I believe, right? The Painted Desert, I think, is
Yeah,
another
it's
one.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Painted Desert.
yeah. I always wanted to go there. I never went there. Yeah. Yep, love it. Love the desert landscape. Love the whole Southwest mountain theme. That's just something I'm really into. So, but yeah, great question, Addison.
All right, Addison, your turn to respond. What do you like better, mountains or beach?
Yeah, by default I would say beach. I think it depends if you're looking for an adventure and something like, exciting to look at, big hikes, things like that, obviously mountains, but if you want to relax, the beach is where it's at.
Got to agree on that point. All right, let's go around the horn. We got a busy Monday schedule to get into. Drew, why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, Ranger Suarez under 17.5 outs at -105.
Love it. Cubs, team total over 4.5 at -125. All right, Prince, close us out.
All right, guys, looking at the EBL this afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern. Give me Chelsea on the money line, -110. We're also going to look at Chelsea Fulham over 2.5 goals at -130. And then your futures play of the day in the German Bundesliga. I like Bayern Munich to win both the Bundesliga and the German Cup, and that comes in at +160. That's going to do it for us today, guys. This has been the Monday edition of the Only Bet Sports Podcast with Drew DeLucci, Sternbest on the Prince of Picks. Shout out again to Mr. Edison for coming on with his question of the day and his F1 analysis over the weekend. We'll be back again tomorrow live at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. You can catch us Monday through Friday over at OnlyBets Podcast on Twitter/X. Have a great afternoon. Let's cash out these tickets, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Talk to y'all soon. Thanks.